Welcome on in my Ashwings to another little rundown of a commoner video. This time we're going to show some commoner gameplay for Enigma, a deck that I honestly have not played around too much with in the commoner format. This is actually going to be the list that had just recently won the Calling in Memphis with all of this new fun Blade Beckoner equipment to kind of block out a lot of those more pesky ninjas and stuff like that. So being able to keep that whole spectral manifestation, the spectral shield, alive. So what I know about this deck is that it's fairly fatigue-esque, right? It's a lot of kind of dealing little bits of damage where you can, and then sometimes coming in for a really big hit when you are able to. Enigma also has a fantastic ability that says that your first spectral shield attack each turn costs one less to activate. And at a once per turn instant, you can pitch a chi to create a spectral shield token with a +1 counter. This is kind of your game plan at the end, because effectively what you can do is with one chi, you can pitch it to create a spectral shield on your opponent's turn, and then you can also create one on your turn as well. And effectively all you'll be doing is just attempting to swing these spectral shields. Now, what you might know from CC is that these are just going to be spectral shields that come in for 2 go again, right? But the difference here is that in Commoner, we are actually running Reality Refractor. So with Reality Refractor, your illusionist auras you control are weapons with 5 base power and a once per turn action. You can pay 2 to attack. So the interesting thing in this regard is that this ability here of Enigma allows this to become a pay 1 for them to attack, and they have a base attack of 5. Now that is significantly more on rate. But if they do have a +1 counter from Enigma's ability, it's a 1 for 6. Pretty good. No go again, unlike with Cosmo, but this seems to be kind of the way to go about doing it. Get one spectral shield on the board, swing with it, right? Because with one blue, effectively what you can do is you can utilize some pretty powerful stuff in the deck, create a spectral shield, and then utilize that shield to attack. So let's then go over the equipment here. Right now, pretty much it looks like we're just running the Blade Beckoner Helm, the Blossom of Spring, which allows us to gain a free resource. This is when, you only have a chi in hand because of Enigma's ability. You pitch the chi, and then you activate the Blossom of Spring to still be able to swing for 6. So you're still threatening something on your opponent's turn. The Blade Beckoner stuff came out in the Hunted, and this gets +1 while defending a weapon attack. So theoretically what you can do is if your opponent comes in with an attack action, you can block for 1 here, and then you can also block for 1 when your opponent attacks with a weapon. Or if your opponent's weapon comes in for 2, you can just use one of these to fully block out that weapon, essentially giving you a Blade Break 2. But without Blade Break, because you don't technically lose the equipment. But once it's got 2 -2 counters on it, or 2 -1 counters on it, it's pretty much set to go there. And it's all done. And then Aqualapse, this is a nice little, you can give something go again, and it's target attack. So you can theoretically pay into a really big attack, flip this over and pay 1 to give this attack go again, which is quite powerful when it comes to being kind of the aggressor, which means you can play things like Findel Spring Tunic for 7, and then pitch another blue and give it go again, to then go ahead and play something else like a Spears of Surreality, or you can even play a Waning Vengeance, or a Zealous Belting, like crazy things you can go about doing with that. So a lot of value with the Aqualapse and giving go again. It's effectively just your Snapdragon Scalers, but it also blocks. So just remember that when you're using this, you want to make sure that you block out 1, because if your opponent is going to attack you on their next turn, you're just going to want to use this for block value because it will be destroyed at the start of your next turn. So let's take a look at the equipments, or the main deck, essentially, right? Taking a quick look here and seeing what we've got, we are running a pretty heavy powered deck, right? We have Battlefront Bastion red and blue, which helps us prevent damage and also deal a lot of damage in a 7. We have Fate for Scenes to allow us to block a little bit more and see what's on top of our deck. Findel's Fighting Spirits allows us to gain life and also still attack for 7. Should we be on the back foot, we can still gain a life while we attack with it. We are running both a red and blue Sink Belows, which is pretty cool. Blue Sink Below allows us to defensively transcend, and we'll talk about a little bit what transcending does if you're not aware of that. Spears of Surreality, this is just a great starter. You attack with it. It's a 1 for 5 that's got Go Again. It's got Phantasm, and it blocks for 3. So you play the blue one to kind of start your turn and get some of your transcend stuff going on, but you can play the reds to present a lot more damage. There are not a lot of people outside of like Guardians and Brutes that run a lot of poppers. And what a popper is just a attack like Battlefront Bastion that has more than six or more power. So being able to attack with these Spears of Surreality, you tend to get a lot of value from it because your opponent's probably not going to be playing a card that is going to be able to stop your Go Again with Phantasm. And then let's talk a little bit about the key card of the deck, which is Spectral Manifestations. So with Spectral Manifestations, you are going to want to play these on turns in which your opponent tries super hard to clear your board. They try extra hard to clear your board, and you want to keep this in Arsenal if need be, or keep this and a blue in your hand. And then all you're going to do at this point is once they've destroyed your auras and they've come in for their petty amount of damage, you simply get to go ahead and pitch that blue, activate Spectral Manifestations, make sure you have no other illusionist auras on the board. Then you create a Spectral Shield with 3+1 counters on it, which you can then spend that one floating resource, thanks to Enigma's ability and Reality Refractor, to attack for 8 damage. Now, 1 for 8, huge value. Effectively, what happens if you're able to get this on the board and you're able to really push through with the Spectral Manifestations, this keeping that +3 Spectral Shield is like the whole point of your deck right now. Make sure that you can end every single turn by keeping at least one card in hand and blocking for whatever your opponent's chain link is. And then you get to go ahead and swing 8 again on your opponent's turn, or on your turn. Huge amounts of value because eventually that's going to whittle down your opponent to not be able to provide as much damage because they're going to have to start blocking, right? So their 2-card hands are going to become significantly less valuable, or they end up having a 1-card hand and maybe just Arsenal and pass. So you really get to beat them down with this. And then even the yellow version has it come in for 7 instead of 8. So 7's a good break point, 8's a good break point. It's the ward, the Spectral Shield that you create does not have Phantasm, so you don't have to worry about them popping it or anything like that. It's very, very good. Waning Vengeance is another card that you can attack with, theoretically. It's got Ward 3, and if this does end up being destroyed, you can pitch a blue card, or if you've pitched a blue card, you can create a Spectral Shield token whenever this is destroyed. So it's really nice to like pitch, if your opponent's attacking you for 3, you can go ahead and play the Waning Vengeance from your hand, pitching a blue. And then when Waning Vengeance blocks out that 3 damage with the Ward 3, then you get to go about going, okay, cool, now I get a Spectral Shield token, which will block out another 1 point of damage somewhere else down the line. Zealous Belting, just because this ends up having a lot of power here, you can always go ahead and come in with a Zealous Belting almost, because while there's a card in your pitch zone with power greater than Zealous Belting's base, this gets Go Again. So effectively what you can do is you can go ahead and you can pitch a Battlefront Bastion and a blue to attack with Zealous Belting. You'll have 2 floating resources. Zealous Belting will come in for 5 Go Again. And then you get to just continue to power through your turn, whether it be a Spectral Manifestations or something of the sort. You get to push that damage. Enigma Chimera, another card like Enigma Chimera into Zealous Belting, because this has a 6, it's going to be really, really good for you there. The same goes for Spectral Rider. It also has 6 power, also Phantasmal Haze, so pitching either of these 3 cards into Zealous Belting turns on its ability and allows you to get a 5 Go Again, which is pretty good. Then, of course, we've got our Transcend cards. We've got only 3 Transcend cards, only 3 Chi cards here in the form of a Drop in the Ocean to bring our opponent's Kodachis or any of their 1-power attacks like a Crouching Tiger or something down to 0, and then you get to Transcend. Homage to Ancestors, you get to go ahead and heal for at least 1 life. And then Preserved Tradition allows you to get cards that are non-attack actions, or just action cards from your graveyard to the bottom of your deck. So you're going to want to get something like Spectral Manifestations, because this is how you win the game. So not bad cheat cards. And then, of course, we're running the Phantasmal Haze. This is another Phantasm card with Popper, or if you get, it's got Phantasm, so it's susceptible to popping. But if it is popped, you do create a Spectral Shield token. So you get a lot of value by attacking with this, because one, it's coming in for 6, it blocks for 3, and if it is destroyed, you do create that Spectral Shield token, which you can then, you know, attack with on your next turn, or at least use for more power. Single-Minded Determination, great card. It's Ward 2, and then when this enters the arena, if you control no other illusionist auras, you put a +1 counter on it. So you go ahead and come in for +1. If you pay 2 into this, you can then go ahead and you can swing this also for that amount. Now, of course, this doesn't have go again. So you would essentially just have to make sure that you are finding a way to either give this go again, or you can go ahead and just kind of keep it on the board and end your chain with it. So for instance, you can, you know, attack with Spectral Manifestations and then build up your board with a Single-Minded Determination. Ward 2 is pretty good, gets over those Kodachis to be able to block those out effectively. So Ward 2 is pretty good. And then if it ends up staying on your board at any point, you get to go ahead and attack with it as well. And at least for 5. Spectral Prowler, this is a great little starter. It's a 0 for 2 with go again, because if you have a Spectral Shield, this will get go again, which you normally will. But it's also got Phantasm. Your opponent's probably not going to pop this with any of their cards from hand, just because it's a 2 cost. So taking 2 tends to be pretty simple, but that's where you want them to be. It's this card that's really powerful, because if you have a Spectral Shield token, this will gain Overpower. So with Overpower, it just means that your opponent can only block with 1 action. But if that action is a 6 or higher power card, it just gets popped anyway. But it's a good blue starter, allows you to transcend. Unmovable is another defensive reaction. You're going to want to park this in Arsenal, and then if your opponent comes in to attack for 6, you can just go ahead and pay 3 resources into this, and then you can also transcend off of it as well. This just essentially blocks 6 from Arsenal, which is really, really good. And then Vengeful Apparition, Ward 1, but when it leaves the arena, if you control no illusionist auras, you may play your next aura with 0 cost this turn, as though it were an instant. And then, if you do, it enters the arena with a +1 counter. So your 0 cost auras in this deck, actually, there are none, right? There are no 0 cost auras, but I'm pretty sure it's just a 0 blue block 3. That's the reason why we run it, just because it blocks 3 and it's a blue. You're able to utilize it. Worst case scenario, it's got a Ward 1. You're probably going to utilize it for the block 3, though. And then we go into our inventory. Pretty quick rundown here. We've got all of our AB shenanigans here. You're going to pretty much be running AB into these here, but you're going to run Silent Stilettos into Iyslander, I'm pretty sure, because Iyslander, and maybe even Florian, if you're playing against those, because you also get to pay 3 and you can essentially just get your action point back if your card with Phantasm is popped by a popper. But 3 AB here, we've got the Blade Beckoner boots, so in case we're going against ninjas, we want to play this on top of our, instead of our Aqualapse. And then 2 Oasis Respite. Again, this is strictly for the Wizard matchup to be able to kind of block out those really big attacks. We could theoretically do it for ninjas as well to prevent 4 damage, such as a breakpoint from FaB or something of the sort there. So something to look into. But normally, if your opponent is going to come in with a lot of breakpoints, Oasis Respite's not a bad card to play, but it's mainly for those big arcane heroes. So let's go ahead and take a quick look into Talishar. Let's play a little game and see whether or not Enigma has what it takes to take down most of the meta here on Talishar. We're going to do 1 game, and then we'll kind of go over the deck, and talk about how it feels. This deck also, mind you, is, while it is a replication of the deck that won the calling, or not the calling, but the gold foil in Memphis, I am adding it as part of our battle box. So this is a deck that I'm going to kind of keep in here unless there's a illusionist that ends up taking its spot as the best illusionist in the format. But I believe that's going to be kind of hard to do because Enigma's really, really good at keeping herself alive. So let's go ahead and take a look at some games. If you enjoy this content and wish to support the channel, consider becoming a channel member. Channel members get access to our podcast, The Common Language, a week earlier than other subscribers, as well as emotes, loyalty badges, and any other special member-only content I decide to make. Channel members will also be eligible for special channel member giveaways, so stay tuned for your chance to enter. I thank you all so much for considering to support my endeavors in the creator space for this wonderful TCG, and I hope you all continue to have fun in the flesh and blood. Back to the video. Alrighty. Looks like we're going up against Iyslander here. Very, very interesting build here. I think we're going to try these Silent Stilettos, and then we probably will just AB3. And then we're going to probably keep these Oasis Respites in here, and I'm going to take out the... Let's see. Maybe we'll just take out the Fate for Scenes here. We'll keep these in just in case, but probably won't have any true use for them. So let's see. Let's see what we get. Let's go ahead and give our opponent the good luck, have fun, and then we will start it off. So very quickly here, they've got less life than we do, so we're in a pretty fun spot. Let's see if we can just filter our hand a little bit. We're going to, let's just Enigma Chimera. Yeah. We'll just Enigma Chimera. See if they have the popper. If they do, good. If they don't, they block. They do have the popper, and they're going to gain a life here. So good to get one of those out of the deck. I am not going to pay 3 to gain an action point. So they get to gain the life. We'll end the turn. They're not going to be able to do anything crazy from what I recall. So we'll just arsenal this and pass. We'll see what our opponent gives us. It's good because Iyslander really wants to, what do you call it? Really wants to like block out with their whole hand. And so being able to go second, it's like they're amping with this. Interesting. I'm curious what they're amping. They're playing it. Okay. AB, let's just AB3 here, sure. Perfect. So we took one. It actually worked out for us because we essentially gave them that life, but it ended up working out pretty good. Let's go ahead and try out. Let's see. Let's do this here first. Try to get 3 in. They do have a card here, so we'll see whether or not they give us the Phantasm. They're going to be playing Wounded Bulls and stuff, so. Okay, there's the Cold Snap. And the Iyslander ability, we get the Frostbite. Pay 1 to prevent an ally from being froze 0, because we don't have an arsenal. So, good to play that arsenal card first when your opponent has snapback, or has Cold Snap. We will just AB3. So perfect. Kind of where we want to be. We're not going to do anything else. We're just going to go ahead and pass. So I think the war of attrition is really what you're doing in this situation, is you're kind of just making sure that your opponent is always going to be kind of trying to threaten the damage. Like for instance, right here, Aether Ice Vein, pretty good for us right now because we now get to go ahead and our turn is not like super good anyway. So effectively what we get to do is we get to go, we're going to go ahead and, sorry, hold on. We have to Oasis Respite first. Okay, let's just remember that we did this. So this, we are going to Oasis Respite the Aether Ice Vein. We are going to pitch this here. And then we're just going to AB1. Perfect. So pretty much full blocked that entire thing there, which is kind of cool. We could Blossom here into this, but I think we're just going to pass. Because, to be fair, we're probably going to take some damage here, for sure. Just because we only have one card in hand. We did block out their Aether Ice Vein. that almost never happens. And it's really only these Aether Ice fans that are like probably the most terrifying of them all. So there's the Cold Snap. I don't know that I even care to pay. So I'm just going to pay 0 because I don't care. And then we can just AB one of these here. So it's unfortunate because we don't have a blue, but we can AB one. Okay. So now it's on them. They have a full grip here. They'll probably go ahead and either Wounded Bowl me, but they're not going to get the full value. We're staying kind of slightly under them in this regard, which is not terrible. Okay, a Voltic Bolt. This is 5 coming in here. We can AB. Let's do this. We could put Enigma Chimera back on here. Why not? Let's do this, and then this. We'll bring this back. And maybe we'll just AB3. We're going to AB3 this. Maybe we take 2. No, we definitely just want to be like those folks, right? So we could just send 5. They don't have an arsenal, so they can't actually do anything here, which is kind of cool. That actually might work out best for us. So we're going to just play Enigma. Just kidding, because they don't have an arsenal. Pretty good. We're going to Enigma, and then we are going to pitch this and attack for 6. So value. So parking this in Arsenal, I'm not like in love with it. I would like it to not be in my Arsenal, but the fact it is what it is. This will bring them... See, I'd almost not block here so they can get value off of things like Findall's Fighting Spirit, but blocking 3 puts them down to 16. Okay. Full grip here. We got an Aether Ice Vein for 4. This will block out the additional 1. So we'll AB 3. Just get the Prowler out of here. Okay. And now in this situation, we might just play this. Keep cards in hand because they have an arsenal, so playing out a thing here is going to cost me some stuff. I will pay 1. I'm just going to pay... no Spade of the Immovable. Because they're effectively just going to be hitting me with the Waning Moon now, so... We could arsenal this special manifestations if we really wanted to, but... Okay, full block there. Now, it is good that this Blade Beckoner equipment exists because it's also going to block out my armor very well. So, no Waning Moon Trigger. Interesting. Okay, Aether Ice Vein for 4. Again, I think our concept here is just going to be AB3, this Sink Below. Pay 2 before discarding. No, I'll just get rid of this. Okay. Send. I don't care what damage I take. They're going to take 7. I'm going to heal 1. So... kind of our whole thing is what this is weirdly like almost Iyslander-esque because we get an insane amount of value from just like swinging a whole bunch here. We don't get to keep a hand, which kind of feels bad. They kept their entire hand, which is very interesting. They did not block. So They did not block. We also have 10 more cards in our deck than they do, which just goes to show that we're kind of spending just a lot more time doing that. So we'll take 3, and then we'll take 3 more. So they dealt us 6, and they're not going to do anything on their turn, really. So we draw up. They're going to Arctic Incarceration. Yeah, okay, I guess it's not terrible. Let's see here. Let's just go ahead. If we start with a Zealous, it might not actually be too bad. Zealous Belting for 5. Kind of crazy. And we could theoretically Spectral. Like, we're going to threaten a lot. The downside is that, of course, they do have an Arsenal. Because they have an Arsenal, us making a Spectral Shield and then doing something else, we got the Popper out of their hand. Kind of interesting. Now, again, we could just... Okay, they blocked with 2. They've got the Snapback, so they can easily Snapback me. It's got to be a blue in hand, right? So, Arctic Incarceration from there. Are we getting the Waning Moon trigger as well? Knowing they have a Snapback now is kind of just want to wait. Yeah. I'll AB3. We could just... Well, we can't Blossom Spring. Yeah. All right. We'll pass. They're not going to have an Arsenal, which is really good for us. So we can go ahead. We can... Because they're not going to be able to play anything at instant speed. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to... Spectral Manifestations. Create a thing. Attack with the Spears of Surreality for 1. If we get popped, we can silence Stilettos, but I don't know that we'd want to. We've seen both Finals Fighting Spirit, but no Wounded Bulls, no Battlefront Bastions from this yet. So they might be out of poppers. Taking 5 here is going to be a lot, especially since they'll be taking 7. Okay, so they're not popping. So if they're not popping effective... Oh, yeah, okay. So we've got them on the back foot here. So we're going to go ahead and do that, and then we're just going to send 7. They like kind of have to keep their hand. We do have the Oasis in here, so we're in a pretty good spot. I would say we just kind of keep that here. I might have even used my Blade Beckoners during that situation, because they are weapons. So down to 6, 1 card in hand. That's just going to be an Arsenal target. So we are going to put this Oasis Respite here. We got blues. Polar Blast. Okay, so they're arsenaling a blue Polar Blast. They're going to get to draw a card, although Dominate's not anything we're worried about. So we can theoretically still attempt to throw stuff here. Let's see. I think we can just... I mean, like, at the end of the day, we're still just throwing 7, right? So, yeah. So we're going to throw 7, and we're going to try and AB all of what they try to send to us, right? Okay, there's the Polar Blast. I'm not going to pay for anything because I don't care about my stuff getting Dominate. They do have the Snapback, so we do want to make sure that we're able to do that. I'm going to pay 3. Okay, 2 in there. That's fine. I'm going to take 1. They're down to 14 cards left in their deck, mind you, so we still have quite a life lead. Draw into some blues. Aether Ice Vein for 3. That's good, because we don't really care. They're arsenaling that Aether Ice Vein, probably. Let's... Now, the real question here is... We could... Now, we do have an AB... Okay, we're fine. I'm going to send this. I'm going to send 7. The good news is that our opponent, they're going to Aether Ice Vein here, because it's a blue Aether Ice Vein. They have the Snapback in hand. We have to remember they have a Snapback in hand. I don't really care so much, because I do have another Spectral Manifestations, but... Okay, so they pitch that. Card revealed. I'm going to play the Waning Vengeance at instant speed. And if they, honestly, if they get the snapback, it's 3 damage, I think. But it's double snapback that I'm worried about, so. We could AB3. We'll see if they play the snapback, right? Although, I don't want to give my whole hand. I guess I could have kept 1. Yeah, there's the Spellfire Cloak. Snapback. Okay. That's fine. Still prevented a lot of damage there. So, still Ward 2. Again, like, they don't have a lot left. We still have 9 in deck. They're going to Arsenal that card. We have an Oasis in our hand. We get to Spectral Manifestations. Yeah, let's just send it, right? So, we are going to Spectral. And then we can AB... Said we can AB something here. I almost want to pop Spring here just for an additional resource. So I can play Oasis. Let's send it. I mean, it's 8. So either they're going to put something in there, or they were... It's going to have to something's going to have to happen here. But I do have Ward 1 on the board, so... And I have AB3 still. So they're blocking, which means they're not activating abilities, which is interesting to me. They're blocking and not activating abilities. Okay. I will then pass. Ice Bolt for 5. So we theoretically can do this. Okay. Not too much left here. I could just send 7 physical. But I think I'm going to just do the thing with the shield because it's better that way. I'm going to send it. Because this is coming in for 8, so it's still more damage, theoretically. And we have to hope that they're either going to have it or they're not. Which it looks like they're not unless they're going to snap back as well. So if they snap back, it's whatever. I still ward an additional 1. Again, they're going to run out of cards before I run out of cards. This is a pretty heavy fatigue deck, I gotta say. So we're going to AB2. I'll AB2 with this. They're probably going to swing Moon. That's right. I'll AB3. 1 float. They have the snapback. We get to block out 1. I thought they used the Spellfire Cloak already. Okay. So blue snapback, unfortunately, doesn't do them anything because 1 damage we had enough to pop. So we win. You can block with equipment. You can block with equipment if you're really trying. I'm gonna invite them to chat real quick. See if they want to chat. Nope. Oh, okay. Never mind. So yeah, in that situation, I guess theoretically they could have blocked for 2 more value here, bringing them down to 2, which, you know, gives them another turn. But this is a very fatigued deck. That's kind of crazy that we were able to beat Iyslander like that. They were on Wounded Bowls. I think we just missed. They're on 1 Wounded Bowl. 1 Wounded Bowl. Okay, so not a bad deck, but that's effectively what we're looking to do here. Is like sending 8 for 1 resource is kind of like the nuttiest thing you can think of in Commoner. So being able to do something like this is super valuable. So definitely a very great deck to add into your Commoner battle box. And if you like a more fatigue style game plan where you're blocking out a lot and then you're sending a lot of damage on the back end, it's significantly more fun when your opponent doesn't get to play on your turn, because then you get to go ahead and utilize, you get to utilize some more preventative damage effects. Your D-reacts do more. As you saw, like, we weren't really able to play a Sink Below throughout the entirety of the game. But luckily, I gotta say, like, outside of the fact that, like, these don't block, a blue Sink Below, kind of a fun thing to have in here, right? So if you enjoyed this game, make sure to go ahead and hit the like button down below. Subscribe to the channel if you enjoy more, or if you at least want to see more Commoner gameplay from me as we continue to kind of take a look at the meta of Commoner itself. And also, leave a comment down below. Let me know how you feel the Enigma deck played out. Do you feel like there could be some changes? Obviously, there was a lot of me just Arcane Barriering a lot of stuff here, but with the access to a lot of blues, Arcane Barrier is certainly a big factor. And again, with a deck with not a lot of poppers, you're able to at least still have a pretty solid turn for what it's worth. So 9-0 on the Iyslander game. Thank you so much to my opponent for playing me. And thank you all so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Remember to continue to have fun in the flesh and blood. And I will see all of you wonderful Ashwings in our next Commoner video.